I noticed it's in the Houston Rockets colors.
Honestly, I got lucky with that.
Right.
Went to the dealership and they said that somebody had customized the car and didn't want it anymore, and I love it.
Superstars such as LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, and Russell Westbrook have contracts which pay out more than $150 million over the course of their contracts. Look, each player on a basketball team has a large role to play in their team's success, and of course, some NBA players tend to get larger sums because of their skills and talents. But that doesn't mean every price tag is justified. So in today's video, we'll be taking a look at the most overpaid players in the NBA. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First on the list, Russel Westbrook. Westbrook is the highest paid player in the NBA, so this might seem like low-hanging fruit. However, it's hard to make an argument that Westbrook deserves to be the highest paid player in the league as a whole. The point guard has a reputation of being a shooter first and a playmaker second, and his time in Houston during the 2019-2020 season hasn't helped that rep. Maybe most importantly, Westbrook hasn't led his team to the title like Stephen Curry, who holds the second largest contract in the league. Unless he picks up his shooting percentages, it doesn't look like Westbrook is going to turn that around and justify the contracts the Rockets gave him either. Next we have MARC GASOL. MARC GASOL has seen some good days in the NBA. The veteran has been in the league since 2008 and has been playing professional basketball for even longer. And GASOL was definitely one of the faces of the Memphis franchise before his move to Toronto. However, all those years of experience have also taken a toll on GASOL's play. Not many people would guess, based on his performances this season, that GASOL is set to make over $100 million over the course of his contract. He hasn't played like someone who deserves that amount of money though, don't you think? GASOL's 7.6 points per game this season is a big step down from previous years. He had 15.7 points per game as recently as the 2018 season. And the number has been even higher at certain points in the past. His 41% field goal percentage isn't so great either for the price the Raptors are paying. Next is Draymond Green. Draymond Green is just inside of the top 50 when it comes to the largest contracts in the NBA, and he's only a tiny bit away from making $100 million over the life of the deal. However, it's a far cry from the years when the Warriors were the top team in the league. Injuries to the Splash Brothers and Kevin Durant ending up in Brooklyn has left Draymond as one of the recognizable faces left from the dominant era of the Warriors. But Green hasn't stepped up his game to compensate. His team only had 15 wins by the time the season was suspended, and Green's 8 points per game didn't help them much. Green has always been known for his defense, but this season, defense wasn't enough to save the Warriors, and it's also not enough to justify Green's contract. Next on the list, a player that's fallen off, Nicholas Batum. If there's a contract that's a headache for the Charlotte Hornets, it's the one that Nick Batum is currently riding out. A couple of seasons ago, Batum earned his money decently through giving the Hornets another scoring threat. He averaged double-digit points in his first few seasons with the team, and in his first 2 seasons he also averaged 6 rebounds per game. Decent enough numbers, right? Batum is on this list because he's being paid as if he's still performing like he did in the past. His contract, which expires in 2021, is worth $120 million, and Batum has hardly earned his pay the last 2 seasons. His points per game dropped to 3.6, a huge decrease from his first years with the team. Fortunately for the Hornets, they'll have the choice to move on from Batum soon, but that won't bring back the money they've already spent on a player who contributed 3.6 points per game this season. Next is, well, a player you might recognize from TV. A lot of people know Blake Griffin, and it's not just basketball fans. The Pistons forward picked up a reputation for appearing in commercials during his time with the Clippers, but his play has fallen off somewhat in his 3rd season with Detroit. That's not to say that Griffin is a total bust. Unlike some of the other players on this list, he contributes double-digit points to his team's scoring, but his rebounding is down from 7.5 per game to 4.7 per game, and his scoring has taken a not-so-insignificant hit. As recently as last season, Griffin scored 24 points per game. Now, that number has dropped to around 15. That's not what the Pistons need out of the player that has the 7th largest contract in the league, worth $171 million. At only 30 years old, it's a bit too soon for Griffin to start falling off. Maybe Griffin has spent a little bit too much time in acting classes for his commercials. This next player isn't in the starting lineup, but the Kings are paying him like he is. Unlike some of the others to make this list of the most overpaid players, point guard Cory Joseph doesn't actually make that much in the first place. His contract is for $37 million for 3 years, which pales in comparison to some of the larger deals in the league. However, $37 million is still too much to pay a player that can't stay in the starting lineup. Joseph had had his moments while filling in for De'Aaron Fox, but ultimately his play wasn't good enough to keep him on the court as a starter. Not only that, but the team's play suffered during his time starting, and the Kings only had a roughly .500 win percentage. It's easy to see why some might call Joseph's contract a liability for Sacramento. It's not the largest in the league by any means, but it's also too large for the role Joseph has right now. Next, we have Chandler Parsons, who we might not see again in the NBA. The story of Chandler Parsons is one that might not have a happy ending. For a while, Parsons was a productive forward with the Houston Rockets, and while his production declined while on the Memphis Grizzlies, it didn't fall off entirely. His field goal percentage was a bad 37% in 2018, but at least he helped out his team with 7.5 points per game, and at 30 years old, the slowdown was kind of expected. However, Parsons' final stat line with the Atlanta Hawks is awful, even compared to the Memphis years. He only played 5 games and scored 2.8 points per game, with his rebounds per game falling to 1.4 during that span. Those numbers wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for Parsons' contract being worth $94 million and possibly the largest deal in recent history for a player that has performed with stats like these. The contract was signed 4 years ago, and unfortunately for Memphis, Parsons' play saw a sharp decrease right after it was signed. The Hawks brought in Parsons during the last year of the deal, but they didn't get long to see if they could inspire the old Chandler Parsons to come back out again. Parsons was involved in a potentially career-ending car crash in January and waived by the team in February, making him the only player on this list that isn't currently on a team. With that being said, the bleak situation for Parsons means he has a rare shot at a Hollywood-esque comeback. If he ever does make it back to the league, though, fixing his scoring is the first thing he'll have to work on. Next up is John Wall. It might be strange to see John Wall on this list, as the Wizards' star is one of the more recognizable point guards in the Eastern Conference. But Wall is also one of the highest paid players in the entire league, with his contract being tied in value with James Harden. However, Wall isn't producing James Harden numbers. In fact, Wall didn't put up any numbers at all for the 2019 season. A torn Achilles has kept him out, and we don't know yet when Wall will be seen in a game again. Even looking back to 2018, though, Harden is the better producing player. Harden had 36 points per game in 2018. That's the highest total in the league. He's been the top scorer in the league for the past 3 seasons. Now, it's a different story for Wall. His 20 points and 8 assists per game don't look all that great compared to Harden's current 34.4 points and 7.4 assists. But both players will make about the same amount of money from their base salary. Both are on 4-year deals, and both have deals that are worth $171 million. Surely the Wizards wish they were getting James Harden's production, since they're already paying the same amount. But the fact that Harden is tied with Wall in salary just goes to show that money can't buy everything. You can pay someone like the NBA's leading scorer, but that doesn't mean they'll go out and get the same amount of points. Lastly, we have DeMar DeRozan. It's unclear where DeMar DeRozan will be when he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2021. The Spurs inherited DeRozan's contract when they brought him in from the Raptors, but it's debatable if DeRozan really deserves to have the 25th largest contract in the league. Now, it's not that DeRozan is a bad player. His double-digit points per game add more to his team's success than most players on this list. However, the advanced analytics don't tell a good story of him. His offensive style is inefficient, and his team gives up more points when he's in the game. The pairing of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan couldn't carry the Raptors to a championship, while Kawhi Leonard was able to do so. There's an argument to be made the Spurs are paying a high price for a player that has an established glass ceiling in performance. So there you have it, some of the most overpaid athletes in the NBA. What do you think about these players I've mentioned? Well, some of them have had their time and are now a little overcooked, don't you think? They still provide value with their knowledge, but when a team offers these contracts, they're obviously hoping for more than experience, because ultimately they are wanting their athletes to perform, but a lot of the NBA players really aren't doing that. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple.